Today I'm going to show you how to make a nice, healthy pizza because we're going to use whole wheat flour. And in this bowl, I've just measured out 2 cups of whole wheat flour. And whole wheat, you know, uses the entire wheat kernel. So you've got the bran, the germ, and the endosperm. Nothing's been removed like it has in unbleached flour. And then I'm going to use about a cup and a quarter of white whole wheat, which is a different strain of wheat, but added to the whole wheat makes a really nice nutty flavor. And we want some salt. So a teaspoon of salt goes in. And then, of course, we need yeast. And when I make pizza or anything, I'm buying yeast in multiple packets. So here we're going to use a new type of yeast. This is a pizza crust yeast, and it's formulated specifically for pizza because there is no rising time with it. None at all. You put it in dry with your dry ingredients, and then you add your liquid. So I'm just going to mix this up with my hands. And we're going to add some warm water to this. You want water that's about 110 to 115 degrees. So I'm going to add about a cup of water right now because I don't know how much this will take. And with that, I want a tablespoon of olive oil, extra virgin olive oil, to give that dough just a little bit of extra flavor. And a tablespoon of honey because yeast loves to feed on sugar. And honey provides that. So there is our tablespoon of honey. And now I'm going to start by just mixing this up with a spoon, but then I'm going to get my hands into this. And for a pizza like this, for a dough like this, we're not only going to make a pizza, you could make 2 pizzas out of this, but we're going to make pizza and we're going to make my mom's calzones because I love them. So you see how we're going to need some more water here. So now I'm just going to clean off that spoon and get my hands into this. Everything is in the feel, of course, when you're making dough. So I'll know as I need this if I need more water or if I have enough water. So give it a good knead until it's all well blended. If you're doing this in a food processor, of course, you don't even need to do this. So there's my dough. It's looking pretty good. So now I'm going to divide this in half. Half will be for our pizza, so we'll set that aside. And the other half we can make 4 calzones out of. So I'm just going to roll that under my hands to get it smooth. And then divide this in half and make 4. And whenever I do this, of course, reminds me very much of visiting my mom, who always made these for me when I came to visit. And she got the idea from going to her favorite little haunt in Buffalo, New York, where she would enjoy these, and then she asked the chef if she could have the recipe. Now, you know, she really didn't need a recipe because she's a good cook in her own right, but she wanted to make them specifically the way he made them. So this is her adaptation. So once I have them pretty much flattened out, you want to get a bake sheet out. And this is parchment paper. It really helps when you're baking. And we're going to take these rounds and just put them on here for a minute. So there are our 4 rounds. I'm going to just let them sit there for a second, because now I want a little bit of flour on my hands to just pat those out. I want these to be about, 6 inches in diameter. And you see, we're not even using a rolling pin. We're just using our hands. I don't want to use a rolling pin because a rolling pin tends to eliminate all of those nice air bubbles. And I want those because that gives a nice texture to the dough and a nice airy look when you bite into these. So you can stretch it out very easy. If you get a little hole like that, you just patch. That's the beauty of dough. And here's our 3rd one. Now you could put a variety of fillings in these, but I'm trying to keep this healthy today. So that's why we're using the low-fat ricotta, and we're using some Parmigiano Reggiano, and we're using a little bit of provolone. Cheese is not a bad food. if you use it in moderation. So there are our 4. There's another little hole. Let me just patch that. And that's all there is to it. I think I made that one a little smaller, but that's okay. So I think we'll do this provolone first. So we want to grate up some provolone. Is a cow's milk cheese, has a very nice mild taste. It's great for pizza. It's great eating on its own. It'll melt beautifully into the cheese, into the filling rather. So there's our cheese, and we're going to add that right here with some of the ricotta. Putting it in the wrong bowl. With some of the ricotta. And then we want our Parmigiano, that's cow's milk cheese. And then we want some ricotta. That's what makes these calzones absolutely wonderful. And for this, you really want to use a good ricotta cheese. So here is fresh mozzarella. And let me get this out and show you how this comes. The mozzarella is in its own water, and it's very, very fresh, like that ricotta. So we have fresh ricotta, we have the provolone, we have a little bit of the Parmigiano, and now we have our ricotta cheese, or our mozzarella cheese. So that I like to cut into small little bits using a cheese knife. This is a cheese knife, and it helps you cut through very soft cheeses. So you just cut this up into bits because this is going to provide a nice stringy, melting texture for those calzones. 1 ball should be enough. You need about a cup of the ricotta cheese to do 4 to 6 calzones. All right, I think that looks good. I'm going to put that in with the ricotta. And now we want to give this some parsley and some chives. So here are some really fresh, nice-looking chives. We're just going to chop those up. If you didn't want to use chives, you could use just some parsley. I keep wanting to put this in my bowl of flour, you know. And now we have some flat leaf Italian. So we chop that up, and we're going to add that. You could do this ahead of time. Keep it in the refrigerator. Now that's as simple as you can get with a filling. So that goes in. Now all we need is some salt and pepper with this. So let's give that a little salt, a little sea salt, and a grinding of pepper. And all we want to do now is mix this up until it's all well combined. Sometimes she would add an egg to this, but I don't really think you need it because you have all these nice cheeses, and you see how nice and thick the ricotta is. You want to make sure that when you're buying ricotta cheese, you drain it first through a strainer if it looks a little watery on the top. But if you're buying really good, high-quality ricotta, that may not be necessary. All right, that's our filling. It looks good. So now we can set that aside, and we can fill our calzones. So before I do that, let me wipe off my board so we're nice and neat here, and bring back those little padded out pieces. So the first thing we want to do is give this a little bit of olive oil. So a little extra virgin olive oil, just a dab. Well, that's more than a dab, but a little olive oil on each one. Just like that. And just brush it all over. Brush it around. And then you can begin adding your filling. So here's our filling. We get a spoon. And you take, maybe 1/4 cup. You put it on 1/2 of your dough. Put it on 1/2. Spread it out. Get a little bit more there because we don't want to be skimpy on this at all. And then we're going to just turn these over. So there is our our 4th one. So let me just wash my hands now so I can show you what to do next, which is to simply fold these over. So put it this way so you can see it. So you take it Get that soap off my hands. You take it and you pinch those edges. Kind of press the filling down a little bit. Same with this. Press it down. These aren't going to take very long to bake at all. About 25 minutes at 375 degrees. And you see how very stretchy this dough is, even without kneading. And of course, they're going to rise some in the oven. And then we're going to give this just a brushing of egg and some coarse salt and some sesame seeds. And there are so many variations on these fillings, but this is a healthy one. It's not filled with fatty meats. You could fill these with vegetables if you didn't want to use the cheese. You could do a lot more herbs. Those are all possibilities. So once those are all glazed up like that, then I like to add some coarse sea salt. I like that crunch. I think it's great for this. And I didn't add too much cheese or too much salt to the filling because the cheese has some salt. And then we have some sesame seeds. You can't be a Southern Italian without using sesame seeds. So there they are. Look at how fast that was. You came over a few minutes ago. We now have calzones. 4 of them from the recipe. So they go into the oven